Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I want to chat a little bit about grappling with what you've lost throughout all of this. This is one of those things that I really struggled to wrap my head around, and it took me a really long time to get to the point where I am now, to basically find that point of peace, find that inner calm, I guess you could call it, to really be able to move past where I'm at. And I've been having some conversations with people lately, and it's been dredging a lot of this stuff up from their experiences and just having me reflect back on mine, where I thought it would be a good topic to hit. Part of the problem with all of this is that when you're in the middle of it, everything hurts like an injury you just had. Like if you burn yourself, everything is sensitive. You know, you have that injury site on your body, and no matter what, I mean, even wind blowing on it can make it hurt, right? And that's exactly the way you feel whenever you're in the beginning parts of this and you're struggling with everything, because everything is so raw. Everything is just, it's just happened. And when I say just happened, this could even be if you're a couple years into it, because that sense of grief with the loss of what you've lost is really, really tough. And I really struggled with it. And it's one of those things where you have to go through that, and you have to grapple with it, and you have to resolve those issues before you can really move on. And the reason that's so important, or the reason you have to, is because if you don't, you just stay stuck where you are. And I stayed stuck for a really long time. I mean, every day I was angry. Every day I was frustrated. I'd look at my bank account and it would be zero. I'd be in my house and I wouldn't have anything. And all the hopes and dreams that I had and the direction I thought my life was going just obliterated in an instant. And it's really weird, because I'm to a point now where if I get really wore down, the stuff can start to kind of bother me. It's like a noise floor type thing, where you got that ambient room noise, and then as you get tired, it can build and build and build. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but I guess what I'm saying is if you're in a room and it's just yourself and there's no one else in there, it's nice and quiet, right? It's quiet, you can hear everything that's going on. And then as more people come in, or as more distractions come in, it gets louder and louder and louder. And it gets to the point where you can't even hear yourself think. And if you're even sitting across from somebody, you might not even be able to hear what they're saying because of all the noise. I think our situations are very similar. Is you get so wrapped up in everything, rightfully so. I mean, this is pretty damn traumatic, but you get so wrapped up into it that when something else is happening, all those old memories can come back. Now, what I'm talking about, I guess what I'm saying is that I do still, every once in a while, those things will flare up, but I'm far enough along to where it's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's like, I've kind of already processed that. I've already gone down that road. So it's like, I don't really need to waste the time being angry about everything that's happened. But it took a really long time to get here. And in a lot of ways, I'm actually surprised, because I remember, way at the beginning when people would say, you just need to let it go. You need to move on with your life. You need to do this. You need to do that. I remember sitting there thinking, how am I ever going to be able to do that? Everything that I was working towards and put into this life has been destroyed or ruined. How can I recover from that? How can I let that go? How can you just let it go? And for the longest time, I couldn't. For the longest time, every time I would think about my future, or if somebody at work would talk about retirement, oh, I'm going to retire, I'd get angry. I'd get angry about, well, I don't get to retire now. I have to work until I die, And it would be, which I guess the funny part is that's still technically true, but instead of annoying me or making me angry, I'm like, whatever, whatever. I'll just deal with it. I'm going to enjoy today. I'm going to enjoy the moment, and I'm not going to dwell on things that I can't really change. I can't fix it. I can't go back and fix it. I mean, I can't go back and talk sense into the ex or do anything different. I mean, I can't. It's done. It's done. It's in the past. All I can do now is choose to stay connected with that and stay angry and bitter about it, or I can say, F this, I'm moving on to other things and trying to enjoy life. So this is where I get into the part where I've talked in the past about rebaselining your life. If I sat around and I said, at this stage in my life, I should have $1 million in my retirement account. I should be looking down with only a few years left to retire, to get my pension, to get to take my retirement money and my pension money and my Social Security money and all this different stuff and be able to retire, it's just going to drive me crazy. And my plan has changed. I had what I thought I was going to do. Well, shoot, I thought that I was going to be building a life with my ex, that we were going to be able to do this, that we would get to the point that we'd be able to have the house paid off, we'd have money in the bank, we'd have all the resources that we need to retire. And, that was my plan. And I didn't expect or didn't ever think that it was going to be obliterated the way it was. So it's really tough to take a step back and kind of start over, to pick the pieces up and just say, okay, enough is enough. I cannot keep doing this to myself. I have to push forward. Otherwise, I am going to just become a bitter, angry old man who has no joy, no peace in life, and just filled with regret, filled with anger, filled with bitterness. And who wins? Who wins on that? If I did that, all it would happen is the ex would win. And then I would just be angry and bitter. So, I think it's like, what was the turning point for me? What was the catalyst that really got me to the point where I'm like, okay, enough is enough? And honestly, that was about 2 to 3 years into the divorce, where every day I was thinking about the ex, thinking about what I had lost, thinking about the future that was lost, ruminating about how I wouldn't be able to do the things I wanted to do, ruminating about just how angry I was. I mean, every once in a while I'd calculate out how much money I'd lost in this whole thing from the time that it started until the current time. One day I woke up and I was just tired. I was tired of feeling this way. I was tired of thinking this way. I was just tired of it. I had done everything in my power over the previous 2 to 3 years, trying to hold her accountable, trying to get some justice that we all talk about, trying to have some type of accountability. And I woke up one day and I'm like, I just can't keep doing this. It's like, I want her out of my head. I don't want to think about this anymore. I don't want when I wake up to be thinking about this and be thinking about it throughout the entire day. And then when I come home and lay down, I'm thinking about it. It's like, I want my life back. I want my joy back. I want to be the person I used to be. I don't want to be this person anymore. I mean, I guess if there's a rock bottom on this emotionally, that's kind of where I was at. I was just at a point where I knew that if I didn't try to do something different, this was going to consume me, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to make it out of it. And the sad part, or the reality of it is that at that point, at that darkest time, I didn't care anymore. I just wanted the pain to go away, which that's a very dangerous time. When you get to that point, or if you're in that stage, it's really a turning point. So I started trying to do things to make a difference. I dove into therapy. I was doing therapy a lot. I tried the hypnosis files. I was watching a ton of YouTube channels. I was journaling all the time. And I really have to say, and I know I talk about this a lot, but those silly hypnosis files were really, they really helped, because I had this inner dialogue in my voice, or not my voice, but in my mind, basically saying, you're crap, you deserve this, you've lost everything, you're never going to recover, no one's ever going to love you, you're never going to amount to anything. Just this negative talk that was just just tearing me up. And it was just like, I got to the point where I'm like, enough. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's when things started to change. That's when I started working on like the absolute thinking, and which was in conjunction with the hypnosis files, and just reminding myself every time I thought about it, it's like, no, the ex is NPD. This is who she is. This is why things are the way they are. There's no way to counteract it. I did the best I could. I got the best deal I could through family court. I mean, I probably, if I would have done it today, I could have done better, or at least emotionally I would have done better. But it's one of those things where you have to get to that point where this stuff doesn't dominate and control your life. And then what happens is you start doing this pivot and this switch from where everything you did, or not everything you did, but every time these situations would come up, you would get triggered, and I would. I mean, I would get angry, and I would just have this flash of anger. And as you work on this stuff, what happens is it's like, nah, I don't want to do it. It's like you're having this dialogue inside your mind saying, do I really want to go down this path? Do I really want to be down this, go down this path? I've done it before. I know where it leads. There's nothing good with it. No joy or happiness comes out of that. And now I'm able to say, no, not going down there. And there are times that people will try to drag me back down the pit of hell. It's like, man, doesn't it suck how much you've lost? That your retirement's gone or whatever. I mean, it's like they'll take their finger and they'll go, oh, there's the wound. Let me push right there. Boop. I mean, and not even necessarily that they're doing it maliciously, but sometimes I think it's a test. Sometimes I think when those things happen, it's like, okay, is that going to flare things up? Am I going to have those responses like I used to have? And what happens is after a while, you don't. After a while, it starts not to bother you, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about something else. So it's just something I wanted to get off my chest. Maybe it'll be helpful for you, especially if you're struggling at this stage of that. And yeah, I'll chat with you on the next video. Take care.